In this affidavit, I shall mention my personal knowledge regarding Senator Chiz Escudero. My statements hereunder are based on personal knowledge and direct interactions with the personalities involved with great risk to my safety and that of my family members.
Enzo Recto, kalaban ang katiwalian at kasinungalingan, kakampi sa katotohanan at kabutihan.
I attest and confirm that the names, dates, and transactions mentioned hereunder are based on my direct personal knowledge and have ample documentary support where necessary or desirable if given full opportunity to retrieve the same. Background facts. I earned my bachelor's degree in science, in Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering in 1984. I am a registered civil engineer by profession. In the year 1985, I began my 40-year stint in the DPWH as a laborer. I then climbed the ranks through the years as Associate Civil Engineer, Engineer 2, Engineer 3, and as Assistant District Engineer, District Engineer, Assistant Regional Director. I then became Assistant Regional Director CESO 4 sometime in 2012 until my appointment as Assistant Secretary in 2016. I finally became Undersecretary more than a year later and remained such until my retirement on August 2025. I met former District Engineer Henry Alcantara during my assignment in the Laguna 2nd District Engineering Office. Engineer Alcantara, Engineer Bryce Hernandez, Engineer J.P. Mendoza, and Engineer Algie Jumasig all belong to the Bulacan 1st DEO. 2020-2040 scheme. Sometime after the State of the Nation address of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. in July 2025, and while I was already on sick leave, I heard from Secretary Bunoan for the first time that Engineer Alcantara, Engineer Hernandez, Engineer Mendoza, and Engineer Dumasig were engaged in contracting activities using the licenses of other contractors. Subsequently, Engineer Hernandez confirmed this arrangement through one of the legislative hearings and by other contractors whose license they used. According to Bryce Hernandez, their sharing is 20-20-20-40% from these activities. My understanding is that they had prepared and signed documents for purposes of collecting payments, which they then apportioned the profits amongst themselves. However, I must admit that I have no personal knowledge on the exact actions they took to accomplish this scheme, and I can only be asked general questions on the systems in place that would have allowed this modus operandi to happen. I categorically state that I have neither knowledge nor participation in these business activities, which were entirely done by Engineer Alcantara, Engineer Hernandez, Engineer Mendoza, and Engineer Dumasig on their own. Ghost projects. At about the same time, after the 2025 SONA, I also heard for the first time that aside from the 2020-2040 scheme, there were flood control projects, ghost projects, for which Engineer Alcantara, Engineer Hernandez, Engineer Mendoza, and Engineer Dumasig were also responsible. These were confirmed later by Secretary Bunaan during a separate legislative hearings. I called up Engineer Alcantara to ask him about these flood control ghost projects. He denied any participation. Subsequently, he likewise told me that he even convened the officers of Bulacan 1st DEO to confront them about these ghost projects, and that some officers, it was Engineer Hernandez, who was the primary person responsible for the same. In the exact words of Engineer Alcantara, si Bryce po yan. I categorically state that I have neither knowledge nor participation in these flood control ghost projects. In this affidavit, I shall mention my personal knowledge regarding Senator Chiz as follows. Maynard Ngu and I are close friends, and we go years back. He is also a close friend and campaign contributor of Senator Chiz. Maynard Ngu asked me to submit a list of projects. I personally submitted a list of projects to Maynard Ngu, and some of the items therein pertaining to Valenzuela and Marinduque projects were subsequently included in the General Appropriations Act. A copy of the list of Valenzuela and Marinduque projects is here to attach to this affidavit as Annex A. When I gave him the list and in relation to the commitment, I asked him, "Boss, paano to?" Maynard replied, "Bahala ka na." I asked, "Boss, okay na ba ang 20%? Maynard said, "Okay." After inclusion of the projects in the GAA, I delivered 20% of approximately 800 million or about 160 million to Maynard Ngu, which was meant for Senator Escudero. Finally, I would like to add that deliveries of cash were personally made to me, by me, to Maynard Ngu at his office in Manila. I confirm that Commissioner Lipana requested that he be referred to officers of DPWH Bulacan 1st DEO. I referred him to Engineer Bryce Hernandez. I have no personal knowledge if they were able to secure a project in Bulacan 1st DEO. Furthermore, and subject to possible referral to an executive session upon the approval of the Honorable Chairman, I attest to the broader systemic issues in DPWH that are widespread. My statements hereunder are based on personal knowledge and direct interactions with the personalities involved with great risk to my safety and that of my family members.
Bunyog, bunyog, halikan na kasama ka. Bunyog, kapag buklod ay may pag-asa. Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, isa ang pananaw. Sa bagong Pilipinas ang bunyog isisigaw. Bunyog.